Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Glad to see you taking a chance here. Glad to be here. Um, I am Suneater Evan, and I am the host of the Ecchi and Chill show. This podcast is about anime, manga, gaming, cosplay, convention going. I'm excited to launch this podcast and be a part of the community. This is episode one. Thank you for listening. This is a zone all about jokes, memes, the fun, the peace, love, and positivity, talking about anime culture. So I'll do breakdowns of shows. I'll be doing breakdowns of manga. If this takes off enough, I'd love to do a couple after shows of my favorite shows. But really, this is just a place for me and my friends to nerd out. I plan on having sketches, fun YouTube content with my friends, stupid TikToks on the clock app for you to enjoy, but more on that later. I'm going to talk about why I chose this pod, my history creating content on the internet later. I plan on doing this for quite a long time. I have plenty of time to do that, and I love podcasting. So for now, I just want to get right into the anime because I'm way too excited. So, first things first, I plan on alienating a large portion of my audience right now. I want to talk about what makes a real anime fan. Anime is a weird thing that a lot of people seem to gatekeep for some reason. Like a lot of people don't like a lot of anime fans coming into this community that they don't deem real anime fans. I don't get it because as big as anime appears to be on the internet, like if you go on TikTok, the anime community there is huge. There's always a bunch of tweets about anime. There's always a bunch of Facebook posts about anime. Conventions are massive, but it is niche. Anime is a small market, and anime doesn't make a lot of money. That's why you see studios not really taking a chance on a lot of shows, on a lot of manga adaptations, and they go with a lot of kind of the same thing as a result. So it's shocking to me that you'll see a lot of anime fans within the genre. You should want new people coming in so the genre can be better. You want studios to make money, to pay animators more, so you get a better product. So calling fans real or fake isn't a thing I want to get into, but I do want to get into what makes somebody a genuine fan of anime versus just a person who just is casually into the genre. So here's the one rule, just the one rule I have for people who are real anime fans. A real fan of anime is one that watches more than one genre of anime. That's it. That's the whole rule. You can click away now. I think that the dub versus sub thing is such a stupid argument. I really do. I can say the dub is stupid, but that doesn't mean you're stupid for watching the dub. Like, there are some dubs I like better than the Japanese sub. Like, I think My Hero Academia, I love the dub version of that show more than the sub version. Haikyuu, my other favorite anime, I'm going to talk about that a lot more in the coming weeks. I love the sub. The dub, I think, is god awful. But if you like it, you like it. Not mad at you. I think it's just one thing people like to argue about, like pineapple on pizza. But when it comes to a real anime fan, if you watch more than one genre of anime, you're a real fan, even if you have a somewhat of a casual interest in the medium. For example, the most popular genre of anime is battle shonen. That is undisputed. Your Jujutsu Kaisens, your Naruto's, your Hunter x Hunter, your Dragon Ball Z, your Hajime no Ippo, like those are the most popular animes, and that's what makes the real money. That's what keeps it going. Throw some cool animated fight scenes, some awesome settings, some crazy looking animation. Throw some waifus in there for the body pillow material, and you got yourself a cash cow for the next 10 to 15 years if it holds up. But if that's all you watch, I have a hard time calling you a real fan because if you only watch fight anime, that means you're more of a fan of fight anime than you are of anime as a whole. Now, if your preference is just fight anime or romance anime or a slice of life anime or whatever, If that's your preference, then you're good. That means you give other shows a shot. But otherwise, you're just a fan of that particular genre. It's like, I compare it to this. If you say you're a huge music fan, you love music, and I ask you, what do you listen to? And you only say rap or country or US top 40, you just like that genre. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just that kind of fan. You have to expand your horizon for me to call you a real fan. Because are you a fan of just anime fights, as I say? Because most people are, actually. Like, a lot of anime only fight watchers will go, well, sorry, I like to see my characters box. How's the grocery store arc in the slice of life genre treating you? And I'm like, come on now, that's not right. That's not fair. That's an argument in bad faith. Like, me personally, I like switching up every now and then. Like, watching battle show after battle show after battle show isn't fun for me. Just like watching romance after romance after romance isn't fun for me. Here are my top 5 in no particular order, so you think I'm not lying to you. Number 1 is Haikyuu, which is a sports and a slice of life. Shirabako's comedy and a slice of life. Psychopaths is sci-fi crime thriller. Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches is a romance and a supernatural anime. And then Devil is a Part-Timer is pure comedy, pure reverse isekai. It's awesome. So for me to consider you a real anime fan, you have to watch multiple genres. Are you a fan of anime, or are you a fan of just one particular genre? Nothing wrong with that. You can like what you like. There's nothing wrong with it. But before you call somebody not a real anime fan because they didn't watch the classics or they don't enjoy your particular genre, I'm going to want you to backtrack. So now that I effectively alienated a good portion of my audience, let's go for the double. I want to kick this off by talking about just something that's been on my mind. I plan on doing this a bunch, just something that happens to be on my mind, nothing really plot relevant. I want to talk about My Hero Academia. And I'm sure this topic might just bomb because I'm right in the gap between season 5 and 6. So I wanted to discuss 2 characters that get a lot of reaction out of me, which is one of my favorite characters of all time, All Might, and another character I like, Ochaco Uraraka. So we're going to start with All Might first. A lot of people slander All Might as a person and a mentor to Deku. And I'm not here for it. A lot of people say that he's a bad teacher. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's somehow wrong for being the symbol of peace. None of that makes sense to me, but fine. We'll get into it. First, All Might is a bad teacher. That is very much part of his character arc, though. A genuine criticism of All Might is that, is it reckless for him to be certainly in the downswing of his career? He doesn't have too much time left. And he's not only the biggest symbol of peace, him going to UA makes that whole school of young kids very much a target for danger, a target for villains, which is what happens. So is him going to UA reckless? Absolutely. It is absolutely reckless. Is he a bad teacher? Yeah. Yeah, he's a bad teacher. But that's part of his character arc, though. His whole character arc, as far as him being a UA professor, is teaching and being a better teacher. We see it in one particular scene, I believe just as Izuku gets out of his first internship and he's practicing and he's trying to figure out how to take his shoot style to the next level. And All Might has a teaching for dummies handbook in his back pocket as he's going around to all of the students telling them things they can work on and do better. It's pretty awesome. Or it might be a little bit further beyond. I just feel like I watched that whole arc and that whole season over the course of like a weekend, so it all blends together. The time is a bit weird in my head. But anyway, All Might's arc at being at UA is him figuring out how to be the best teacher so he can do the most good by his students. Because day one, he realizes that as Bakugo and Deku's training arc in the first building, when Midoriya is with Uraraka and Ida is with Bakugo, and there's the whole terrorist thing. You got to go get the bomb before the other team, blah, blah, blah. and Bakugo is blowing up that building, Yaoyorozu points out what everybody in that exercise did wrong way better than All Might could, and she does it way faster than what All Might could. And All Might should have stopped that fight long before Midoriya and Uraraka had a chance to end it. I mean, Midoriya was getting his ass beat. So, but that's not the most important part of being a mentor. Because when I say mentor, the first thing I think about is believing, seeing, and bringing out the best of the potential of your understudy. All Might is the first and only person to believe in Midoriya, and that pushes Midoriya to go further initially than what a good teacher could. Now, Aizawa is an excellent teacher. He's been doing this for a while, but he didn't believe in Midoriya at all until the tournament against Shinso and Todoroki. Now, from Aizawa's perspective, seeing one of your students just smash his bones apart every time he used his quirk, I totally get it. Aizawa was framed as a villain in the beginning. Not like necessarily a villain per se, but more like an antagonist to Midoriya because he's in school now. We got to keep some conflict in the plot. But certainly Aizawa didn't believe in Midoriya. All Might did. Now, the next point of people saying All Might's a bad teacher because he can't simply explain one for all to Midoriya isn't necessarily All Might's fault. And I think people miss that. All Might used one for all pretty much from the jump. Like from the beginning, he knew what he was doing. All Might in the beginning could use one for all, and all he had to really do was play around with the power output. Midoriya, on the other hand, is starting from like complete scratch. Like, not only is the quirk not native to his body, he has to figure out how to use it without breaking his fingers, breaking his arms. All Might could just use it, and he had to figure out how to concentrate with it throughout his entire body. The way I compared it, because All Might and Midoriya think differently. And that's problem number one that I didn't realize until I saw Endeavor, but we'll get to that in a second. Imagine somebody who was born as an artist. They came out the womb merely with a paintbrush in their hand. And for decades, they spent working on paintings, portraits, all of that. They were painting forever. And then someone who's young, who's more math and science brained, asks, hey, how do you paint? As a painter, how do you explain that? How do you explain you see a blank canvas and you know exactly what you want to do to it to someone who's more logic and is it left brained or right brained? We're going to go left brained. I'm sure you'll correct me in the YouTube comments. But Midoriya approaches his own fights. Midoriya thinks of them more analytically. He breaks down the opponent, their quirk, the rules their quirk might be able to abide by, and tries to figure out a plan of action due to that. All Might, on the other hand, just sees the finish line of a fight. I have to do this because he's already in tune with his abilities and knows what he can or can't do. Oh, and by the way, by the time Midoriya gets one for all, it is significantly more powerful than the version of one for all that All Might got. Because not only does it grow and cultivate power, each successive person that gets it down the line, it grows by like the amount of time each person has it. Like it's pointed out that every user of One for All died young, like between the Dark Ages down to Nana Shimura, who before All Might was the longest person to have it because she had it in somewhat of a time of peace. They were just now stabilizing the world with quirks and all that, making the rules, and All Might had it for decades. He's old. Not like old, but he's old enough. So Midoriya is getting one for all that's much stronger than a version that All Might got it. So how is All Might supposed to help that, especially when All Might got it and his body was ready for the quirk to begin with? Midoriya's 14. He was a stick. Man was like 50 pounds soaking wet. Which brings an Endeavor, because by the time Midoriya is able to get his quirk pretty much under control, he knows how to use it, he knows what percent he can use it at through several arcs of rigorous testing. He's trying to figure out how to take it to the next level. He's trying to figure out how to use Black Whip. And pretty much he's starting to plateau again. I think Endeavor the hero, fantastic. Endeavor the man, we can put him in a garbage can. I'm talking about Endeavor the hero today. So Endeavor the hero, his quirk of Hellflame, super edgelord name, by the way. Not even going to get to Dobby's cremation quirk, Jesus. Endeavor's quirk makes his body overheat, which causes his body to shut down. Now, he has had to focus on the same things Midoriya has had to make his own quirk for him. Because imagine just giving the strongest, most powerful fire blast, and then you're useless right after that. That was Midoriya after breaking both of his arms. You're of no use to anybody in the hero setting. Endeavor had to figure out how to make his Hellflame and be as powerful as possible for as long as possible to do the most good. So as Midoriya is at the work study, telling Endeavor exactly what he wants, Endeavor, it all clicks. Everybody looks at Midoriya like, why are you muttering? Why are you talking so fast? Shut up, nerd. Endeavor's already been there. Endeavor just gets it. Endeavor's a good teacher. That doesn't make him a better mentor, because the better part of being a mentor isn't doing everything by yourself. It's putting your pupil, your understudy, in the best place to succeed. All Might encourages Midoriya to go with Endeavor. Hey, he's current number one. He's been practicing forever. I know how good he is. Go be with him. He knows how good Gran Torino is. Go be with him. He knows how good Aizawa is. Go soak up all the knowledge you can from that. Fight Bakugo. Beat his ass, young Midoriya. So all the All Might slander about him being wrong, him not being the best symbol of peace, him being a terrible mentor, I'm not buying it. He's a bad teacher, but that's the point of his arc. We have character flaws for a reason. Second, we're going to talk about Uraraka. Side note here. I joined the My Hero fandom during the middle of season 2. Like, I started watching when I think Uraraka was fighting Bakugo. And I was almost trying to speed run the series to get to this point, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a great fight. So I was stunned when I saw that Lil Aravity got so much hate. I was legit surprised. Like, from the jump, she's always proven herself to be capable. And that's more than a lot of female characters get in shonen anime. Because I know the politics of anime, especially the shonen anime, they push female characters to the side because shonen is marketed to young boys. So young boys have more characters to project themselves onto. So you don't want the male characters you're trying to sell the audience to be outshined by the female characters. It sucks. It really does, because we lose out on so many well-written women characters for the male characters to shine. It sucks. But Horikoshi loves Uraraka. Like, every chance he gets, he pushes her forward. She's definitely had a nice little arc, and you can tell he's fine because he created Toga specifically to foil Uraraka. Like, he made a whole antagonistic threat just for this girl, and I cannot wait to see how that works out. So, just so you know, anything I say about Uraraka is coming from a place of love, not criticizing her because she's a girl in an anime. I love her. So I don't want to hear any shit in the YouTube comments, all right? Don't give me that. So here is my issue with Uraraka. I believe she's using her quirk inefficiently. I'm going to take a break for you to pause this, or you just close the tab and no longer listen to me. I believe Uraraka is using her quirk inefficiently. Now, after losing to Bakugo in the sports festival, she learns hand-to-hand combat. Excellent. Her quirk is one of two quirks where you do something and then something happens. Not like a proactive quirk like Todoroki's. The quirks in My Hero are essentially three kind of different quirks. There's the number one, the most common quirk, where you just do the thing. Bakugo, you do the explosions. Todoroki, you do the fire. Kirishima, you do the hardened thing. The second is your part animal, Like Mirako, you're part bunny. You get all the benefits that come with that. Hawks, you are part hawk, and you have all the benefits that come with that. Fierce Wings is an amazing quirk, and the control over each of those wings and feathers, fantastic. Love the quirk. Didn't like Hawks initially, but he won me over. Also, side note, have you seen Hawks' original design? Like he was just a big chicken. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Like for a show in anime that has so many fantastically drawn characters, seeing Hawks' original design of just being this tall chicken, it was just so jarring to see how he went from that to what he has now. Because the fan art on Hawks now is just nuts. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so the third quirk is you do a thing and then something happens. For example, Uraraka touches something and then the thing she touches doesn't have gravity. Similar to Aizawa, you stare at someone and then they lose their quirk. Now, where Aizawa used his quirk very efficiently is that he learned just because you take away someone's quirk doesn't mean you're going to beat them in a fight. Therefore, he decided, I'm going to bring you down to my level, then I'm going to fuck you up. And that, excellent. Now, where I think Uraraka, the next step in her development should be, I think she should learn weapon fighting and don some armor, and she should just be a upfront kind of brawler. Now, imagine Uraraka with a giant hammer swinging it at her enemy, and she turns the gravity on at the right time to cause maximum damage and send them flying through a couple of buildings. I think that's the next thing she should do. Having really heavy armor on her, strapped to her, but it's also weightless, I also think that's excellent. She's essentially just going to be a tank. It's too good to not have. I mean, look at Lemillion. His quirk was a nightmare to use and looked at as practically useless, and now he's a powerhouse. Imagine Uraraka swinging a hammer or a sword or donning some armor. I mean, just because gravity's off doesn't mean stuff just floats. It's kind of there. So if she's strapped on armor, the armor's basically weightless. The hammer she's carrying is basically weightless. I think that her turning gravity on and off within a second's notice and timing it perfectly to do an attack is not at all out of the realm of possibility of what she can do. Again, Lemillion kicked a man through Ares' face. The villain was holding the child, and he managed to phase his leg through the girl, turn it on at the right time to kick the guy. He puts his face, just his face, through walls. I think Uraraka can learn from how he decided to use his quirk. But certainly, I do think her quirk needs to be buffed just a tiny bit. Just a bit. Uraraka's buff could be changing to what degree gravity affects a person. She could make Bakugo, Ida lighter, not just turn off gravity for them, but just affect them just enough to where, like, I don't know, half gravity affects them. And they can be lighter, they can move faster, they can be more agile. She could be an excellent support hero. But again, I like where her arc is going in the show. I like in the manga where her arc is going. She's more of a person that's concerned with the general well-being of hero society as a whole. All the main characters, minus Ida, like Bakugo and Todoroki and Midoriya and All Might, they already have a vested interest in the war to come. But outside of Toga, Uraraka doesn't have that. So to see her caring about hero society and who helps the heroes when the heroes are hurting, because mind you, no hero was prepared for the mass destruction and death that they saw during the war arc. Not one of them was. And so many heroes just turned and left. So to see her worried about that means I do believe there's better for her on the horizon, and I do think she should be a bit more powerful. Having the conversation of how powerful Uraraka should be is kind of like a married fight. Like, a married fight is a fight that you and your partner agree on the same thing, but you're fighting anyway. Like, how powerful exactly should she be is where we all differ. Because some people think she should be number one. She can control gravity. I think she should be more like top 5, top 8 at minimum. Because no matter what Uraraka can do, can any honestly, do you see anybody in 1A beating Deku or Todoroki? And to that degree, if you're going for a war of attrition, do you really think Yaoyorozu is losing that? And I love Ashido. I really think she shouldn't be pushed to the side as much as she does. Like, come on now. She has a skin impervious to acid and can shoot acid. Like, who's fucking with that? Like, Kirishima can get as hard as he wants to. Don't care. Your skin won't be on your body. Whatever. That's all I just want to say. I believe Uraraka should be more powerful, and I think that she's using her quirk inefficiently. That's all. I love her. I think she's set up for greatness. Don't be no shit in my comments. But enough about the UA education system now that I'm here. Because I've seen a lot of slander about the UA education system, and I don't think y'all get it. Too many people say the UA system is terrible because they don't teach kids how to fight. They leave that up to the kids themselves. Like, Uraraka wasn't taught how to fight. She had to go see Gunhead on her own to learn how to fight. Deku didn't know how to use his quirk until he met with Gran Torino. And to that I say the UA education system is working exactly how it's supposed to. Let that one sit for a hot second. So the 4 of you that are left that didn't click away by this point, the UA education system, the entirety of the first year is about constantly using and improving your quirk. If you look at it strictly from a quirk standpoint, all the characters are different. If you look at Kirishima, who could harden for only a couple minutes at a time at maximum, to looking at his Red Riot Unbreakable by the end of the year, 2 separate guys. Ashido, who could just kind of throw acid whenever she got ready to, now she can cover her whole body in it. Now she can determine the particular acidity of her acid. Top tier. She's completely different now. Yaoyorozu was always smart about her quirk and how to use it. Now she's on a whole different plane of knowing exactly the right thing she needs to do so she doesn't use up too much of her stamina and her lipids to making her quirk. Essentially what I'm saying is all the kids at UA need to go through rigorous training with their quirk before you can teach them how to fight. It's like teaching someone how to fight who's not in shape. Is it possible? Yes. Is it the most efficient way to do things? Probably not. Teaching these kids how to use their quirk to its maximum effectiveness and then teaching them how to fight in their 2nd and 3rd years while putting them next to the side of pros, putting them with pros on work studies and internships so they can figure out how exactly to apply their quirk in a hero setting. Should there be a disaster? Should you have to go chase a villain down? Should you have to do recon or things like that to figure out where exactly you need to be? That is how the UA education system works. So for people going, they need to teach these kids how to fight. You're not supposed to learn how to fight yet. You're just getting out of middle school. Give it a second. Hi, everyone. Editor Evan here. This definitely is not going to be the last time you see me. Thank you for joining my first episode. Initially, I wasn't really going to put it up. I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like the outro, so I just said I'll redo the outro in edits, which is why I'm here right now. Initially, I was going to redo the whole episode, but I decided against it. So I wanted to redo it and just put it up anyway, because I feel like it'll be fun one day to look at, when I get good one day, just to look back at my first episode and realize I actually came pretty far. So my episodes are going to be a little bit longer than they usually are, starting from the bottom and all that. You'll see I looked in the clock a lot. I was pretty nervous for my first episode, and I thought I had 45 minutes of material, but turns out I only had like 30 barely, and it definitely made me a bit more nervous, which is why I couldn't dismount the best. Anyway, I'll be better. So thank you again. Please like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at E2TheBoogie. Tell a friend, but mostly, your viewership is enough for me. Thanks again for listening. Take care.